now at the moment, we really want to give the time to our alumni who have joined us from all over the world, including in Singapore, taking time really to join us and share with us about their experience. I think the people who are coming in here really want to hear from people who have actually gone through the 6 years, right? Yeah. So I will first introduce who are the alumni on our panel today. Okay. So all right. We have Charles from the class of 2012. Okay. Chris and Gloria are also from the class of 2012. Right. So we have quite a few of them actually. In fact, Jenny is also from the same batch. She's currently she had took time off from the hospital. And we have Jonathan here. Um, who is at M Parks at the moment, very avid person who has been really helping us even with some of our field trips as well. And then we have Miss Fong Shi. Yeah, she's in the Singapore Police Force at the moment. Again, very thankful that she's taking time off her work, right? And we have Jasmine. Jasmine is the youngest member of our panel. She is still overseas, so she actually took time to log in from the UK, right? She's at Cambridge at the moment. Okay, so without further ado, I think what I will do is I will first ask Gloria, maybe Gloria, to first come on board and share with us a little bit about your NUS High experience and what you're doing now as well. Yeah, Gloria, please,
Sure.
thanks.
Sounds good. I'm guessing I can share my screen. Let me try to share my screen. Okay, perfect. Do you all see a slide thing with pictures on it?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yep. Yeah, so anyways, I'm Gloria. As Mrs. Chong mentioned, I'm from the class of 2012. After I graduated, I went to Stanford, where I studied product design as well as computer science. So you see here in my graduation photo with my parents. And now I'm currently working in the government digital services. Here is my fantastic team that I work very closely with. And if you guys use SingPass app or something, that's what I've been working on in the past couple of years since I returned back to Singapore. I guess for me, NUS High School was fantastic. It gave me so many rich opportunities, and not only that, but I think also a lot of rich relationships. So this was my class, in sort of year 5 and year 6. This is during prom. But I think some of the fondest memories were sort of the trips overseas. Also, I guess now during COVID a bit harder. But for example, representing Singapore in the Asian Physics Olympiad and going to Delhi for the first time, going on a class trip to Tioman Island for biodiversity. Here are some of the fond highlights lah. And I think a big part of my experience was also just bonding with a variety of peers, whether it is during our hostel experience, where we would cook stuff, or various leadership camps. I was in council as some others here. Yeah, and just random moments where we would hang out in class, and just the quirky nature and side conversations where we just nerd out on things. So yeah, I guess that's a little bit about me and a little bit about my NUS High experience. So I'll hand the time over to Mrs. Chong.
Okay, thank you so much, Gloria, for sharing. Okay, we'll have the next person. Yeah, okay, we are very fondly aware of the SingPass, and now we are going over to Trace Together for our next app that we're going to be using during this time. Yeah, thanks to GovTech. And so we will have Janice, who's also here with us, taking time off from the hospital, to also share with us a little bit about your experience. Janice, please, thanks.
I'm unmuted, right? Can you hear me?
No, we can hear you.
Okay, I'm just going to share the screen. Sorry, still loading. Just share screen. Okay, I don't know why I can't share the screen. It's been loading for some time.
Mrs. Chong, you're unmuted also.
Sorry, the share screen, I just need to click on the share screen options, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, It's not appearing. Like I cannot.
Okay, doesn't matter. Maybe you can just share a little bit about your experience. Yeah, it's okay without the slides. Yeah.
Okay, so hi everyone, I'm Janice. So wait, okay, it's really not appearing. Okay, so I've graduated. I'm in the same batch as Gloria. As you can see, all the glam photos that she has kindly shared of me. So yeah, currently, so I graduated in 2012. Subsequently, I studied locally in the Yonglin School of Medicine at NUS from 2013 and 18. Then, as per the usual path of a doctor in Singapore, I completed my house officer, and currently I'm a medical officer, and I'm about to start my emergency medicine residency training in July this year. So I guess what's special for me, some of the moments is really shared as by Gloria. I think like boarding, the curriculum itself is something very special, like it being a modular. I don't have to go through A-levels as a final kind of exam. Research itself was also something that was special for me in the sense that I got to work with a KK hospital, and even up to now, I'm still in contact with my mentor of my ARP, which is the advanced, which is the research project that we have to do. So up to now, we still keep in contact. Who is she's currently a senior consultant at a pediatric anesthesia. So when I do my pediatric rotation, I still keep in contact with her. Then I guess the various interest groups as well as extracurricular activity for myself, it was council, netball, and in particularly like in the community service as well. So I guess as part of like the first few batches in NUS High, the pioneering culture really was something special that we got to go for our first like the community service overseas project with the school. And then the environment itself, I think something as a very small cohort, like we get to share, we have a small community. So like even within 200, like amongst us, when we meet amongst like NUS High people, like even I may not have met them, but I think we share like a special bond, like amongst all the various NUS High alumni also that graduated. Yeah, so I think that's my short sharing. I'm so sorry my slide didn't work, but I'll pass the time to the next alumni.
Okay, no worries. If I can share your slides later, I will see whether I can put them on to show some of the pictures that you actually provided for us. Yeah, I think maybe we can ask Jonathan to come up next. Jonathan is from works currently now at NParks. I think he was very busy up to just and he is here with us. Okay.
Yeah. Hi everyone. Can you all see my slides?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Yeah. So just hi, I'm Jonathan. I'm currently working at NParks. So a bit of background on what I was doing back in NUS High. I was a bio and chem honors student, and I also took math and econs. I think one of the misconceptions a lot of people have about NUS High is that you end up doing pure science, but you actually do have the option of taking non-science subjects all the way into even year 6. And actually, you don't. I never felt that the standard of the humanities here was lacking compared to other schools. Actually, when I was doing econs, I had a chance to do a research project there as well, right? So one of the key things that you do in NUS High is for graduation, you do a research project, and having the chance to do that for both science and humanities was quite a plus point. For my final year project, I did a project that looked at freshwater fish in Bukit Brown. I think also as was mentioned earlier, I do quite a lot of us do keep in touch with our project mentors. I actually do talk to him now every now and then in a professional capacity, and that being plugged into the network from that early stage is actually quite handy if you already have some idea of what you plan to do in your career going forward. I was in journalism club from my CCA. So you do get quite a variety of different things you can do outside of the usual curriculum. You don't have to feel pigeonholed to just do very sciencey things. Of course, at the same time, I was in the biology Olympiad, so there is still a big emphasis on being able to go really deep into a particular science subject if you want to. Yeah. So after graduation, I came back to school actually to help out with biology Olympiad training as well as the field ecology. I think that's something that I really appreciate about the bonds that we as alumni do have with our school. Quite a number of my peers also go back to train our juniors in all sorts of things, right? Like for example, robotics, Olympiad, field trips, that kind of stuff. And we also do have quite a, I'd say, tight alumnus network, even though we are a pretty young school. So when I was in the UK, I was kind of the acting president for the alumni association there. So we will continue to meet up even when we're all overseas. And even in my job today at MParks, um, I quite enjoy the fact that quite a lot of our alumni are working there as well, right? Which makes it easy to be able to anytime call for help when you're facing a problem. In fact, one of our former biology teachers, Mr. Malcolm So, is now working at MParks as well. And especially if you're working in a STEM field, which I am, it is quite nice to be able to anytime reach out to someone that you know, or find that you having that existing connection through NUS High does make it easier to build a network. Yeah. So I guess for you guys, you might be wondering why pick NUS High. I think for me, a big reason that I chose the school was that there were no O levels or A levels, right? It's it sounds kind of shallow, but actually, when the way it plays out is that the way stress is happens in NUS High is that it's distributed, right? So it's spread out across your 6 years instead of a single make or break exam. And the other really nice thing about it is that it encourages a very collaborative culture, because you are being graded mainly on the strength of your assignments and your projects. And a lot of this doesn't happen within the exam context. People are actually really incentivized to help each other out. It was really normal in my batch to have people who were like really, really good in, let's say, chemistry or biology. They will actually help out their other peers who aren't doing so well. And it's, I think, something that really prepares you for the real world as well, because when you're working, you're not going to be having to deal with one big exam, right, that decides the rest of your life. You are having to deal with assignments and work that will come in all the time, and you have to work a lot with other people. Another thing is that NUS High gives you the freedom to really embrace being a nerd. I think most of the time, being a nerd is something that is seen negatively. In NUS High, it's kind of a plus point. You really have that that go ahead to just dig really deep into a subject that you enjoy through the official school programs, research projects, Olympiad classes, etc. And I really appreciate how from a pretty young age, I got quite a lot of exposure to my current field of work, which is ecology. So even going to university, I found that within the first year, most of the things that I was learning there, actually I had covered before, which meant that I had a lot more space to go and explore doing other things and deepening my knowledge in my field of interest, starting from a base that was already a lot more advanced than my peers. Yeah. Yeah, and I guess one last thing I want to say is that in some way, NUS High never really ends. Because of how small our batch size is, where you have a maximum of, let's say, 200 per year, right? You form really, really tight bonds with your friends. So even now, I'm still pretty close friends with the people that I met in secondary one. We've known each other for literally half our lives already. We still meet up, we play badminton. We, even when you're overseas, like in the bottom right hand corner, when I happened to visit the US, I met up with alumni who were from my own year, but as well as the years above me. And that alumnus network, or that common bond between people from NUS High is really strong. Yeah, and there's all sorts of opportunities for alumni to come back and give back to the school also. So like here, this is an annual workshop called Sprout, which one of our alumni initiated a few years ago, where we continue to come back and kind of teach our juniors about topics of interest. And of course, there's scope to just always come back and help the teachers out with all sorts of lessons. Yeah. So that's it from me.
Okay, thanks so much, Jonathan. Yeah, that was great sharing from you. Glad to know that a lot of you are still in contact. Very happy to know that, and really, very happy whenever we see you back, really contributing or really participating in our activities again. Yeah. I think next up we are going to ask Shirley to come up. So yes, I'm not sure whether she's still in her office,
Hello.
but yeah, she's currently in the police force. Yeah.
Yep, I am in my office. Well, not really my office, but okay. So, can you see the slides that I have shared?
Yeah. Yes, we can.
Okay, so I resonate with a lot of the sentiments that the previous alumni have shared. NUS High is small, NUS High doesn't require O or A levels except for mother tongue, obviously. But too bad. But we have like pretty like okay standards for mother tongue here, if you are wondering about that. And we have a small cohort. That means we are very close. But I feel like most of the people here are more interested in why we made the decision to come to NUS High. But before that, I'll talk about myself. I come from Zhenghua Primary School. So I don't know if you've heard of Zhenghua Primary School. It's somewhere in Bukit Panjang. So after that, I got through DSA and I entered NUS High School. So I finished NUS High School with honors in bio and chemistry and majors in math and physics. I think the nuances maybe you've heard from other places in open house, or you can come in and find out what honors and majors mean. Okay, then I got awarded the scholarship to study in the US. So I studied biochemistry, like what I did for my honors. Then I graduated from the US and I came back to become a police officer. So right now I am an investigations officer. Yep. There's very little, you might think there's very little relevance to science, what I'm doing now. Well, the truth is, it's obviously not completely relevant. Like I'm not doing like, I'm not doing lab work or like research, but there are a lot of things about science and a science education that can really enrich what you do in the future, like, even if it's like civil service. And also I would like to point out, there are a lot of females on the panel, I realize, disproportionate to the population in NUS High. But there are females. If you're a female primary 6 student here, there are females in NUS High, and I think it's even more enriching to be a female in NUS High because the population is pretty small, right? So we end up being a very close group as well. Okay, so I dug out some of my old photos from Facebook. You can tell from the photo qualities that they all like are really old. So even though we have a very specialized math and science education, I just wanted to point out that we have like other things in NUS High also. So I'm not like the nerdiest. I'm also not the best. I'm not like a gold medalist for Olympiads or whatever. But we enjoy a lot of different activities as well. So top left corner, you see we are like learning how to cook. I'm not sure what exactly we're doing there, like maybe baking something. But it's an attempt to try to give us some life skills. In top right corner, you see us like doing some English play. I remember that was in my year 2, which is 2010, like 11 years ago. So we're trying to act out some cartoon for our English project. And then my CCA at the bottom right corner was St. John's for the first 4 years. And then I went to canoe polo, which is a sport. Yeah. So we also have a lot of class bonding, and we still keep in contact. So in my senior high, less ugly photos, of course, I was more involved in student leadership things like house committee, sports house, and also council, but not pictured here. We also have a lot of overseas trips. Some are student exchange programs and some are academic related. So top left corner, that was actually a biology field trip to Tioman. Of course, with COVID, not possible. But I just want to point out at the end of the day, choosing a secondary school is scary. Yeah, but you can ask us whatever questions you have. We'll try to answer them. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Kivit. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. Exciting times. Yes, I do remember seeing you back then as a student. Yeah, it was really quite a lot of fun activities that we had for all of us, very memorable ones. I want to ask Jasmine to come up first. Yeah, so Jasmine is still in the UK. So she's logging in from the UK, and I think close to exam time, she was saying. Not sure whether it's still exam times. Yeah. Okay,
Yes,
welcome, Jasmine. Yep.
Hi, everybody. Sorry, let me just figure out how to share my screen. Right. Can everyone see this? All right, perfect. Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Jasmine, and I'm currently a law student at the University of Cambridge. So today, I'm here to give you a bit of a perspective of how you can perhaps blend an interest in the arts as well as an interest in science if you come to NUS High School. So I'm just going to talk to you a bit about what I did when I was in NUS High and how I felt like there were loads of opportunities to do many creative things that did not necessarily have to be with science. So, for example, I was actually part of the Model United Nations circuit in Singapore. So what this means is that essentially it's a discussion of what positions of various countries are and in a huge debate. And often we involve schools from across Singapore and sometimes even internationally, like in Singapore Month. But I had the opportunity to be some of the head chairperson as well as the academic head of NUS High's own MUN conference. And that was really a fantastic experience to get to know people from across different schools and also to figure out a little bit about what you like about international diplomacy. Other than that, I also had the opportunity, and you can see in the center picture over here, this is actually me with some of my friends as we finished up our final conference after 4 years of involvement in the circuit. It was really fun. Another thing that I did while I was at NUS High was that we did things like Creative Arts Program, which is a program organized by MOE, which encourages writers who are interested in perhaps pursuing creative writing on a more intensive scale to come and receive teaching from established writers in Singapore. And I also had the opportunity to do things like university level debating at NTU. There are also, of course, as you can see on the left picture, loads of opportunities to go overseas, even for arts-related issues, such as, for example, I actually went to Oxford after school, which is a school in Denmark, to do research into how Singapore and Denmark's conceptions of literature perhaps clashed or where they might have complemented each other. I also, of course, had some science-related things because I did research at the National Cancer Center and at NTU. So just because you're interested in arts doesn't necessarily mean that you have to exclude yourself from science. You can have both experiences and perhaps have this opportunity to really explore what you're interested in and what you want to do in the longer run. Other than that, I was also really involved and really enjoyed my time going through things like interest groups like biology interest group, as well as student council. So I'm going to talk to you a bit about why NUS High and what you might get out of NUS High if you come here. I think the first thing you really get is that you get this mindset of just being willing and able to learn and ask questions from the people around you. And I think the best example I can give of this is that when I was 12 years old and I first came to NUS High, we had this biology lesson, and then our poor teacher, Dr. Tang, we bombarded Dr. Tang with 20, 30 questions after the lesson had ended. And he patiently took 30 minutes of his lunch break to explain to us all these weird questions that a bunch of 12-year-olds had thrown at him. And I think that really gives you an idea of the kind of supportive and warm environment that NUS High really gives you, because it doesn't beat you down for asking questions and being curious. It encourages it. And I think that's really a fantastic trait for students to learn if they are going into the real world and in a world where you need to learn and adapt quickly to be able to do well. I think another thing is that you really, as I think Jonathan said, you really learn from the people around you, because you had these brilliant minds that could have been your peers, it could be your seniors, it could be your juniors, but it didn't matter because everyone just discussed things because they were interested in them, because they found it fun, and no one ever looked down at you if you didn't understand something. And I think that's a really fantastic kind of situation to put a child in at a formative age. And that's why I think that NUS High is really one of the best experiences that you can give that I had personally. But of course, I think it's always a question of fit. So please feel free to ask any questions that you might have. Thank you. How do I stop? Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Jasmine. Yeah, I mean, we do remember you being a very avid participant in months and all that, Model UN conferences. Yeah, and I think finally we're going to invite Chris and Charles to the reason why I put them at the last is because Charles and Chris are both from the same batch. They're from law school, and I think they are happily married. I think last year. was it this year? Oh no, my memory fails me. Yeah. So okay, that's Charles and Chris. Yeah, Charles is actually started up by Frost, and Chris is currently a business analyst at McKinsey. So I think they will share a little bit about what they're doing now.
Hey guys, can you hear us?
I guess not.
Hi, can you hear us?
Oh yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
you
loud
can.
and clear.
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
Yes. Hi, I'm Charles. This is Chris. So yes, like Mrs. Strong mentioned, we are happily married. So immediately off the bat, one of the perks of NUS High is that you might meet the love of your life. But no, I mean, in all seriousness, we both graduated in 2012. I'll go first, and we have a bit of a combined slide later, but I'll just introduce myself first. I did a major in physics, biology, and chemistry, the three sciences. Really enjoyed my time there. Later on, I went to SUTD to study information systems technology and design, which is somewhat equivalent to computer science in other universities, but more the focus on systems design and product thinking. Right now, I am the co-founder and CEO of Bifrost. We are a synthetic data company, but what we do is we basically help AI companies in aerospace and space build better AI. And we work with folks like NASA and DSTA to build models to detect, vessels on Singapore's borders, or we help them build AI models for robotics and things like that. And Chris?
Hey everyone, this is Chris. We were from the same batch, and then a lot of the alumni today are also from the same batch as ours. So I think, was it Jonathan who said high school never ends? It's quite true because we've stayed friends throughout like all the seasons, right? It's super special in NUS High since we went through this entire journey together, 6 years. But then you get to meet like peers who are above your seniors, your juniors, and you actually can stay in touch for a long time. When I was in school, I did honors in physics and biology and major in chemistry. Unlike Charles, I took 5 APs, which really helped me when I went to the US for undergrad, right? Because the APs credits that you do in school, in high school, then can help you with module credits in the United States universities, right? So I went to Tufts University, which is a school in Boston, and they're really known for their liberal arts program, right? So although we did math and science, a lot of it in school, and I had actually applied to all my universities as an engineer. I decided I'll do international relations because I wanted to know more about the world, and then took up a minor in media and communication studies, which I think kind of helped me understand where my strengths are, because eventually then I started doing more media related stuff, and I had a short gig as a radio DJ on a national radio in Myanmar. I am Burmese. And then I used to work with special projects back home for 2 years. Then I started my business analyst role at McKinsey about 2 years ago. So yeah, that's what we do today. Now, what do we do in school?
Yeah, so I think we had many common activities, both of us in NUS High. We were both involved heavily in student leadership as house leaders in different years. That was a lot of fun, as you can imagine, because, as compared to, say, a student councillor where you're more a bit more formal, a bit more representative of the school, the house leader is more student facing, is more sports facing, more games related. We got to do things like plan orientation programs, sports day, things like that. We also incidentally participated in the same overseas exchange program. We both went to the UK. We visited Camborne and Cornwall. It was a beautiful place. It was actually where we wanted to go back for our honeymoon, but then COVID had other ideas, so that didn't quite work out.
Yeah. I think academically, like really no question. It's actually very surprising when I went to the States and then I was telling my friends, even though I was not doing any science and math in school, but I was like, yeah, like I studied organic chemistry when I was 17, and they were like, what? What do you mean you've done organic chemistry? So I think in terms of level of academics, it's just really no doubt, right? And it's interesting because we do a lot of advanced science, like research projects at a very young age. We've done like the ARP program, which is Advanced Research Program. It's up to you to kind of pick the topic that you want to pursue, right? So for me, I did a project on neuroscience. For a 17-year-old to be like slicing mice brain is super cool. I mean, I never did more on this topic, but a lot of people do. Like the same ARP partner that I had, he continued to pursue his master's in neuroscience. No, PhD in neuroscience.
PhD in neuroscience.
Yeah, so I think it's like a budding, it's a good test bed and a good incubating place for a lot of people to pursue their interest.
Yeah. And I think I know everybody's sort of talking about NUS High is not just about maths and science, and I think that still remains true here, right? Even though we're doing things like graduate level research, the ARP programs and things like that, it's not really just about the science. It's about the method of thinking, the scientific method, and that's something we carry with us wherever we go, right? Right now, as a startup founder, I don't do as much engineering day to day anymore. As a CEO, my work is more business development, but that same framework applies, right? You have a hypothesis, you experiment, you test, you get a result, and you go ahead. And I think it's very much the same for Chris as a consultant at McKinsey as well. Yeah. So I mean, branching out of that, I think NUS High, many schools in Singapore offer this, but NUS High particularly gave us a lot of opportunities for overseas service projects. I think Chris herself led an overseas CIP project to Myanmar. She organized with Janice. I think Janice is here today. I think.
Yeah.
Basically organized all the logistics on the ground. I was not present. Who knows if I had been present, things might have been different. Who knows?
What?
But yeah, I think between the two of us, we had very different academic interests, and I was very engineering focused. I think Chris thought she wanted to do engineering, but turns out that she found her niche somewhere else. But there was a place for all kinds of people at NUS High, and we were allowed to fully explore our curiosities as and when needed. And now that we're coming, we get opportunities to come back, talk to our friends, share with the school, share with people coming in. I think that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think in a nutshell, that's us. Back to you, Mrs. Chong.
Thank you so much, Charles and Chris. Glad that you are really having happy times together now as a couple. Yeah. So I think now it's time for Q&A. So I'm just looking at the questions that are coming in. I think I think with regards to the school diploma being well received all over the world, I will leave it later for the question, but I think you can see for yourself from the spread of universities that our alumni are coming from, that yes, I think our diploma is recognized all over the world. But I think one question that I think the students or the parents here are a bit worried about is about the how do you manage your time? A lot of you shared about a lot of programs that you did while you were in school, and people know that it is a rigorous curriculum here. So how do you manage trying to get yourself on top of your studies and at the same time trying to fulfill your goals in terms of doing some of these other programs at the same time? How about Gloria? Do you want to share?
Yeah, sure. How do I manage my time at NUS High? That's a great question. I suppose I slept. I slept very early. Huh?
She sleeps very early. Yeah, so she has the best time management.
I remember like last time our mentor asked us like, oh yeah, like how do you manage your time? And I think like what I did at NUS High is I had a notebook, and then in my notebook I write down like all the things that I had to do for the day, and then I'll like put stars next to them for those that I thought needed to be done first. I mean the usual time management stuff lah. But I guess to be honest, like maybe the better question to ask, I feel, is like how do you manage your energy when you're in NUS High, given that like many of these things could feel very draining, especially when you feel like, okay, maybe studies are not so fun, or like council is not so fun, or I was also in public speaking. So I suppose it was about finding something that I got out of each of these things, and like it was all very nourishing in and of themselves. So for example, every Friday I would go to like our Gavel Club, which is the public speaking club, and like you would learn like just like the banter that you have, like the dynamics, as well as like the ability to just practice something that you are interested in, was already very motivating in and of itself. So I guess like just by being very present and like getting what you wanted to get out of it, I think that was very helpful to manage time lah. I suppose a second thing is surrounding yourself with peers who are also interested in the same things. So as an example, like we were in Physics Olympiad, and then there was like a group of us who were very into it, right? So like our hanging out was basically working on physics problems. So it's like a bit nerdy, but also it helped with managing time because like, it was also our channel for bonding and social life. Not to say that this is true for everyone at NUS High, like other people have much richer social life than I did, but that was just my personal experience. And yeah, I never felt like I was super stressed or anything. Like, oh, one other point is because I think without the A level thing, I didn't have to spend much time studying for things that I did not want to study, or like working on things I didn't want to work on. So yeah, I felt a lot of agency over my own time.
Okay, thank you so much, Gloria. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I think whilst really at the question of, I think there's one more question on what is it like as a female student in the school, knowing that sometimes there are a little bit more males than females, but like what she herself mentioned, that there are a lot of females that we have in the panel over here. Yeah, maybe you want to share a little bit about how it was like. I mean, what was the culture like in NUS High? Yeah, while you studied here, even as a female student. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm the most representative because I also work in a male-dominated environment now, but I honestly did not feel any difference as a female student. I feel like it was not a male-female divide unless you have other like gender-specific like issues you want to raise, like why are you scared of males or females, whatever. But I felt like it was more of the environment that cultivated a sense of collaboration, as what Jonathan said. We were all there as peers and we just enjoyed activities together. Like I remember as a class in year 1, we would go to the fitness corner together, like male and female students both. And then we'll just play there. If you want to sit at one corner and like use your phone or like chat, it's also fine. But we always do things together in NUS High as a class or as groups of friends. So I really did not feel much of a gender difference. Yeah.
Chat, but I'm really very thankful that the alumni actually are helping. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. So.
Mrs. Chong, you were broken up.
Yeah.
What is the question?
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. So I think a lot of the alumni are actually keying in their answers into the chat, and you can see their responses with regards to a few questions that came up about. Firstly, what were the other opportunities that there were? And I think a lot of them, as you can see from the range of careers over here, are in non-science related, or rather non-STEM related careers. Charles actually explained it as well. But maybe we can do one more illustration or elaboration into what are some of the skill sets or experiences that you had here that really enabled you to bounce off and branch off into whichever field that you were in. You could share on behalf of yourself, as well as some of your peers who might not be here in your own batch as well. Maybe we can ask Jasmine to kind of like share, since you are in law.
Sorry, specifically to share about what other experiences are available.
No, I think maybe they'll say some of the parents are just wondering whether it is wasted. You feel that's wasted, I mean, that you come into a school of math and science, and at the end of the day, you are going into a non-STEM career. Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you for, I'll be happy to address that, Ms. Chong. So I think the answer to that is absolutely not. And the reason for that is because I think when we have to think about the purpose and the objective of education when we think about whether something is wasted or not. I think why we go into schools and why we want an education is because we want to learn how to think. We want to learn how to interact with our environment in a way that is conducive to us and other people and is beneficial to society. We want to learn how to think, how to learn, how to talk to people, how to address things, how to deal with difficulties And all these are things that I really managed to learn at NUS High. And frankly, I think you can learn it in most schools. But NUS High was a really good environment that was really supportive and structured and helped to give a lot of opportunities to gain these skills. Even if you weren't perhaps the best in one particular area, you were given the opportunities to try out another area and to gain the confidence in yourself to understand that you are like a fantastic person who has so much potential in front of you. And I think that's really what we need to talk about when we think about education, which is that these are the things we should be trying to learn. And it's not necessarily about these subjects that we did. However, if we do address the subjects themselves, I think that I know many people who went into fantastic careers, like people who are right now, like you might think that you can't get a career in law, but I know people who are like, justice law clerks who are probably going to go on to do amazing things in the civil service and in judiciary in law. I know people who, have gone into consulting, who are leading their own firms, who have started their own startups, and all these things are incredible. And they don't necessarily require you to only have a science background or only have an arts background to do. So all these things are the amazing things that you can do. But just to quickly address, but I had a fantastic amount of opportunities in non-science related things in NUS High. And I took advantage of a lot of them. And even if you feel like NUS High doesn't give you enough, which I think it does, but even if you don't, once you get a foothold in these other areas, you can start to explore your own opportunities as well, and to get to meet like-minded people, not just from NUS High, but from across different schools. And that's also where students might be able to gain not just an understanding of non-science related subjects, but also an understanding of how to interact and be comfortable with a wide variety of people and environments. So that's why I think I don't think it's a waste at all. Definitely not. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Jasmine, for actually putting down into words some of the ways in which the education in the 6-year journey in NUS High has really been able to be applicable to really a lot of the courses that you wish or you dream to do after NUS High. Maybe I will just have one more question. This one maybe I can address to Jonathan. What was one of the most memorable things that you remember whilst you were in I know you shared a lot of things just now. Whilst you were studying NUS High, one more thing also, I think some of the parents were just asking about how you adjusted, as a year 1 student coming in. If you remember, I know that it's many years ago. As a year 1 student, how did you find yourself actually swimming around and getting adjusted inside here? Was it very competitive? Was it difficult because people were coming from a lot of different backgrounds, etc., etc.? Yep.
Okay, I think okay, in the first year, especially the first semester, it was I think it was tough, not because it's competitive, but because like in primary school, I was a lot more used to everything being easy, right? As in in the sense that I never felt that I had to really struggle, right? Because the general primary school curriculum is pitched at a level where the average student has to be able to deal with it, right? So PSLE wasn't stressful in and of itself, but coming to NUS High was challenging because you now realize that your peers are people who a lot of them are really at the top of their game, right? It's like you might find math, like for me, I found math really, really challenging in the first year. I think that was the first time I failed math. Yeah, in the first semester. But then at the same time, you have people who are just so much better at it than you are. But these people don't they don't make you feel like they're better than you, right? Because so the attitude isn't amongst like NUS High students isn't that you can't do as well as me, so it means that you're worse, right? Instead, you learn to be humble and realize that you might think that you're good at something, but other people are much better at it. And these people, instead of making you feel bad about yourself, they then help you out, right? When you feel that when you're facing challenges. So I think that was the shock that I felt in the first semester. But after that, once you get used to it, you realize that, oh yeah, like I don't have to think of myself anymore as like school should be easy, right? It's almost a relief to accept that I'm going to struggle and I'm going to be challenged throughout my time here. But that's okay because I have peers who can help me along the way. And I think, so one of my replies to that also was that, to the question about what I enjoy about NUS High, right, was that because of the modular system, sometimes you will have long breaks between lessons because of the way that the timetable works. And these long breaks are actually really good from both a social side and a schoolwork side, right? For the academic side, this is time that you can use to catch up on your assignments. It's time where we work together on assignments, right? You don't understand how to do a question, you can ask a friend for help. You work together on group projects. But it's also time that you and your friends can decide to just take a break, like hang out, play some games, and that freedom to be able to use this time to either catch up or work together with your friends, or just to take a break together with your friends, meant that the day-to-day life in NUS High wasn't stressful, it was enjoyable, right? Because you have so much time that you can use productively with the people that you're friends with. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, this one I think I will open it to the floor. I think there was a question for both the girls and the boys. How did you make your decision to, this is the last question, to actually choose NUS High in your when actually you had few DSA options as well back then. I mean, I think some of the parents here are at a watershed moment where they just need some advice. I mean, from a young person's point of view, right? What was the breaking factor that helped you make the decision to apply to NUS High as one of the DSA schools? Anyone wants to actually answer that? Anyone of the alumni?
I can go first.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Shirley.
Okay. So actually, I only DSA for NUS High because on the website it said 80% of people will be admitted through DSA. So I was like, oh no, like I don't know, what if I'm not the 20%, right? But then, yeah, I could have qualified for other schools, but I chose NUS High because, as Jonathan said, it's really a very, as in from what I saw from the poster when I was primary 6, like, yeah, I really like the idea that we wear polo t-shirt in school. And also, it's very unstructured in the sense it's modular. So it's not like I come to school at 7:30, I go home at 1, then I have CC until whatever. It's like, yeah, if you have the module in that day and then you stay until 3, 4 p.m., sure. But then you have like 3-hour break to really hang out with friends or do homework together. You really have a lot of group work related assignments. So you end up speaking to a lot of people and collaborating. So that was really one of the biggest pull factors. And also, I think I answered in the chat already, but as a student from Zhenghua Primary, right, like not like an elite school, or every school is a good school, but it's not the best. But yeah, coming in, I realized that the playing field was level. Like we were all mixed together. I really learned a lot from my peers who knew more about the subject matter than I did. So in year 1, it was a slightly steep learning curve. Maybe like math and science, I was really not ready to like dive straight into like bio, for example. But then the school helped, the teachers helped, and the peers really especially helped. Yeah.
Hi, can I answer also?
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So we have
So I think,
Chris.
yeah, no, I think I also applied for DSA to NUS High. I think, did you apply to it? Yeah. No, I think, to be honest, if I am in your shoes, I would apply for every school, right? I don't think there's a reason why you should only apply for like one school or whatever school. It's up to you, right? Kind of. And then as a kid, again, it's up to you to what school you want to pick, right? Like, I mean, I think it's really there. You meet so many people in your university or you're like working wherever. They come from all sorts of schools, and then they are like really whatever, wherever you end up, I'm sure you'll make the best of it. I think that's what I'm saying. But I think you should try, right? If you're already here, probably because your kid or you are interested in math and science, then you give it a go, right? Because this school is where like the math and science education is so interesting. Like honestly, remembering from 2012 our DSA camp, I remember that like there was like a point in time, I imagine being 12 years old and being asked like, what is hypothermic? Or like, what is all these like very big terms? And there was like really fun experiments to do that. So I was like, yeah, if this is how school is gonna be, like I'm sold. I will join the school, see where it goes. And I think that's how it should be for you. It's exploratory. But in the nature of science, in the nature of math and science, it's always going to be like experimental. Honestly, what is education if not for being like curious, consistently learning what you want? Yeah, so that's one. Second, like regarding gender, I think there was another question on, are you going to be disadvantaged joining like a single sex school or a mixed school? Again, I think 12 to 18 is such like formative years. So my personal opinion, and I don't want this to be political, but I guess getting to meet a variety of people would be more interesting than just meeting like being a girls' school or a boys' school, right? Like, I mean, this is how I think about it, because then you learn how to interact with different people from when you're 13. Really helps you, right? Going into university, like just understanding how to navigate these like people-to-people interactions. So if you're still on the fence about it, I think that would be one positive factor of why you should choose a mixed gender school. Again, that could be, wherever else. But if you like math and science, if you want to be a mixed gender school, if you want to be an IP program, you want to skip O levels, A levels, I think we do have like the best of what's there to offer.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chris. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Any last words before we actually end this session from the alumni? Any other thing that you might want to actually add in addition to the questions that you have already answers that you've already put into the Q&A panel? Thank you so much for the answers that you have been keying in. Yeah. Okay, no, if not, then I think I want to thank all the alumni here again for their time over here into sharing very authentically from their point of view the culture, the reasons for them actually choosing the school, and how they actually navigated through the school. Most importantly, I think we are glad to hear that this place actually was a platform for them to grow and be nurtured into the next step of life, which was university and beyond. Yeah, so thank you so much, alumni, for all your help and your time off from work or from overseas as well. Yeah, yeah, for parents and students who are here, we will ask you to please stay on because we have the most exciting segment coming up as well. If you want to find out about what's happening in the classrooms, we will be inviting our teachers to come in very soon, all right, at 4:30. So we'll just take a very short break and then we will be having a live chat with our very own teachers. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah.